Welcome back. The squabbles within the Democratic Party are starting to spill out into the public square as the party tries to recover from the midterm elections before the heavy presidential season starts. But those squabbles are getting a bit ugly. WSJ's Janet Hook joins us from Washington. Janet, I want to start in, before we even get to you, I want to start in with something that we got from Senator Chuck Schumer. This is really where a lot of this comes out. You can see we're pulling this up here. This is from Chuck Schumer, and he's talking about what happened really back in 2008. He says, "It wasn't the change we were hired to make. Americans were crying out for an end to the recession, for better wages and more jobs, not for changes in their health care." Janet, Chuck Schumer's talking about something from years ago, a decision made in terms of what direction they were going to take. Why now? Why now with this criticism?
Well, there's a big debate going on among Democrats about what to make of the fact that they did so poorly in the midterm elections. And this is revisiting a debate that went on mostly before the last midterm. And the question really is what should the Democrats be focusing on now? And there seems to be some pretty good consensus that one of the problems they had in the midterm election was that they didn't send a clear enough message to voters about what their economic vision was and how they would help the middle class. It does feel a little bit like Chuck Schumer went back and dug up some old bodies that were buried about. At the beginning of the Obama administration, there was some debate about whether it was too risky to go ahead and pursue the health care reform that they did in 2009 and 2010, at a time when the economy really was in much worse shape.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I'm generally a markets guy. I'm not a politics guy. I'm a markets guy, but I spend a lot of time trying to break down the numbers and show what they mean and how much growth there really is versus what there really isn't. But if I was just looking at it from a strategic point of view, if I'm the Democratic Party, why can't they just point to GDP growth, to jobs growth, to the stock market? Why isn't that message resonating?
Well, a lot of the measures of economic growth and health don't really touch individual families. At the same time that the stock market is going up, if you're not in the stock market, that doesn't make much difference. What matters to a lot of middle-class family is the fact that wage growth is so slow.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest problem is that a lot of the economic indicators don't reach deep down into pocketbooks of a lot of families. And I think one of the things that I think Senator Schumer kind of glossed over, that a lot of the people who are critical of the position that he took, is that for a lot of middle-class families, that health care law did benefit them. So that the difference between, helping middle-class families and not, I don't think it's economics versus health care. And I think part of the problem was in the midterm elections, a lot of Democrats that were up for election were in conservative states where they were kind of running away from President Obama. Mm-hmm. And as a result, they didn't really brag on what had been accomplished in the economy.
Yeah. So the presidential election season starts earlier and earlier every cycle. How much time do the Democrats have to sort of sort this all out?
Oh, I'd say 2 years. I mean, the point is that the next 2 years are going to be spent with both Democrats and Republicans debating economic and political issues. And so I think the presidential race has basically already begun, and they might as well. I don't think that there's any question of there being any kind of time to get the message across. Mm-hmm. You could say, though, that if they wanted to pass something through Congress, right now, when the new Congress comes in, the Democrats won't be in charge anymore.
Right.
If the Republicans wanted to get something done, the conventional wisdom is that there's about 6 months before the heaviest pressures of the presidential campaign kick in.
Yeah. All right, Janet, great stuff. Thank you very much.
You bet.